In this video, we are going to discuss 10 good tactical positions that can help you improve your tactical visions and calculation skills. By the end of the video, your tactical vision can be improved by 100%. All the diagrams are pretty interesting. So if you are a beginner, this is the best video for you if you really want to improve your game. So I don't want to waste any further time, so let's start. So we have the diagram number 1, position number 1. We are playing with white pieces. Try to pause the video and try to think, how are you going to play in this position if you're playing with the white pieces? Okay, so first of all, how to calculate, how to say that like there is having something in this position, like there is some tactics available. So first of all, you just need to follow this basic rule which is known as check captures threat. First, you need to always start with a check. If you don't see anything with check, you need to start with captures. And if you don't see anything with captures, then you start to create some threats. So in this position, it's white to play. And if I try to see like how many ways I can give check to the black king, I can play queen f5 and I can give a check, attack the rook. But the rook is already protected by the queen, so I can't really capture it. So can I check the black king with the bishop? I think I can. I can play bishop b7 or maybe bishop to g4. If bishop g4, black can capture it and I don't see anything happening up. Can I play bishop b7 check? It's a check, and if the king move, I can capture the queen. So the rook is kind of forced to capture the bishop, and now I can play queen d5 check. It's a check, and I'm also attacking the queen. The king is forced to move, and now I can simply capture the queen. And going back a bit, you can also say that you want to play queen d5 check, but the king moved and the queen is already protected by the rook. So you want to kind of move the rook away from the b1 square. So that's why you play bishop b7 check, and if you found this move, congratulations. Rook captures the bishop and you give a check and you can capture the queen. So this position was kind of easy, so now let's move on to the next position. Okay, so we have the second position on our board. Again, this time we are playing with the white pieces. So try to pause the video and try to think, how are you going to play with the white pieces? Okay, so how to continue this position? So again, starting with some checks. I'm having two checks available. I'm having bishop a7 check and rook to d8 check. Okay, let's start with bishop a7 check. Opponent is kind of forced to capture the bishop because the king can't really move anywhere. I can put my rook, and now I think black can just play anything like knight to c8. And if I try to take with any of the piece, black can recapture, and this is actually a drawish position. So going back a bit, now trying to think, can I play rook to d8 check? Black is forced to capture the rook, and once again, starting with checks. So can I play bishop a7? And wow, that's a mate. The king can't really go anywhere, and that's a mate. That's how easy it is. And if you don't really capture the rook, and if you pull the rook back, I can simply take the rook, and it's still one move mate. So this is how you play this particular position. So this was the second position, so now let's move on to the third position. Okay, so we have the third position on our board. Again, this time we are once again playing with the white pieces, so try to pause the video and try to think, how are you going to play in this position? Okay, so how to play this position? So first of all, again starting with some checks, like maybe rook a7 check, queen a7 checks, bishop into c6 check. Is anything working up? So if rook a7, black can simply capture the rook and nothing is happening. If I sacrifice the queen, still same thing is happening up. Can I capture the pawn on c6 with the bishop? Okay, the queen captures it back and my rook is also attacked. So I don't really see anything. Like bishop into c6 is also not really working up. So now coming to the second point, which is captures. Can I capture anything? Okay, I can capture the rook, I can capture the pawn, I can capture the bishop. So if I capture the bishop, opponent will capture it back and nothing is happening. Capturing the pawn, bishop will capture it and once again nothing is happening. So can I capture the rook in this position? Okay, if I capture the rook, the queen is forced to capture the queen or else I'm going to be materially up. So queen have to capture, and now again starting with some checks. Now I'm having bishop into c6 check. The king is forced to go over here. Once again I can play rook to b7 check. The king is forced to go over here, and now I can move my rook anywhere on the b file and it's one move mate. So this is how you solve this position, and if you were able to solve this position, congratulations. So yeah, this was the third position, so now let's move on to the fourth position. Okay, So we have the fourth position on our board. Once again, we are playing with the white pieces. So try to pause the video and try to think, how are you going to play this position? Okay, so how to play this particular position? So again, starting with some checks idea, I can play queen into f6 check. That's the only move I can give check for. But the bishop will capture it and nothing is happening. Okay. So now coming to the second part, captures. So can I capture anything? Okay, I can capture the bishop, I can capture the knight, I can capture the queen. The queen, we have already looked into it. I can also capture the pawn on g5. So queen into queen is already not working. If I capture the bishop in this position with the rook, I think the opponent will simply capture the queen. I capture the queen and he can capture the rook. So it would be just winning for him. Okay, so can I capture the knight in the position? Okay, but the bishop will simply capture the bishop and I don't really see anything happening and I think black is already better. So bishop into c6 doesn't look like a move. Can I play bishop into g5? The queen cannot capture the bishop because the queen is pinned. The queen is forced to capture the queen. And now once again starting with checks. Can I capture the bishop and give a check? But the bishop will capture it, but the knight will recapture it and nothing is happening. Okay, so can I play bishop to h6? Yes, I can play bishop h6. And actually that's the mate. The light square bishop covers the light squares, the dark square bishop covers the dark squares, and you won't believe it, but it's a mate. That's how you solve the fourth position. So this was the fourth position, a very interesting one. So now let's move on to the fifth position. Okay, so we have the fifth position on our board. Once again, we are playing with the white pieces. So try to pause the video and try to think, how are you going to play in this position with the white pieces? Okay, so once again, let's see the same thing. Yeah, starting with checks, how can I give check to the black king? Can I play knight to g6 check? Okay, but the opponent will simply capture it and I don't really see anything happening. Okay, because my queen is over here, so I can't really give a check like this. Okay, so check is not really working. Can I do anything for captures? Okay, I can capture the pawn. I can capture this pawn. So I think I'm having two captures available. So if I capture the pawn with the rook, the queen will capture the queen, pawn takes, and nothing is happening, I think. I don't really see, like, I win a pawn, but I don't really see a winning advantage over there. Okay, so can I capture the queen by capturing the pawn? But the rook will simply recapture it, so it doesn't really make any sense. Now finally coming to the third part, which is creating threats. So can I create some threats? Okay, because check is not working, captures is not working, so now coming to the threats part. Okay, so threats is usually basically made by attacking the king. Kind of, generally speaking up. So can I attack the king somehow? Okay, I see that if I move my rook, the queen is kind of attacked. Okay, so can I play something like rook to h6? It looks kind of shocking move, but it is actually the best move. Why? Because now I'm attacking the queen, okay? And at the same time, my threat is to play knight to g6. And that's made actually. The pawn cannot recapture because the pawn is pinned. So if you try to capture the queen, knight to g6 is a mate. You cannot capture the knight. The pawn is pinned. The king is having nowhere to go. And the knight cannot be captured. And that's a mate. So here, if black is kind of forced to capture the rook, and now I can simply capture the queen in this position. And it is completely winning for me because I won a queen against the rook. And now this is winning. So this was a very interesting diagram, like explaining the third point, how to create threats. So this was the fifth position. So now let's move on to the sixth position. Okay, so now we have the sixth position on our board. Once again, we are playing with the white pieces. So try to pause the video and try to think, how are you going to play this position with the white pieces? Okay, so how to play this position? Okay, doing all the same thing. Starting with check, so I'm having bishop f5 check available, f3 check available. And yeah, these are the two checks available. So bishop f5 check. Okay, so if the queen will capture it, I can play queen h3 and that's a mate. But black can capture with the king, and after, let's say, queen h3 check, the black can push the pawn. And now black is just a rook up with a completely winning position. Okay, so here, if I try to play f3, I think the king will simply go back, and I don't really see anything happening up, and black seems to be fine. Okay, or actually, I think king h4 is even better, threatening queen h3 at the same time. So going back a bit, can I capture anything? So I can capture the pawn in this position. So if I try to capture the pawn, I don't really see anything big happening up. I'm just winning a pawn. So now coming to the third part, which is threats. So can I impose any threats? So my idea is to play queen h3, and that would be a mate for black. Okay. but the bishop is in between. So can I move my bishop so that I can attack any piece of black? Okay, I can actually play bishop to b5, attacking the rook and the queen. And if the queen move, I can capture the rook for free. So queen is kind of forced to capture the bishop, but now queen h3 and that's made. So that's how you play this position. It was a very interesting puzzle. So this was the 6th position. So now let's move on to the 7th position. Okay, so we have the 7th position on our board. So it's white to play once again. So try to pause the video and try to think how are you going to play this position with the white pieces. Okay, so starting with checks, queen into bishop, king into queen. I can move my knight, giving a check. Yeah, that makes sense. But after queen e5, let's say knight into e5, d into e5. Okay, the position is becoming complicated. And I don't see anything big happening. Yeah, the material is still even. So going back a bit, can I capture anything? So there are many captures, but obviously queen into pawn, the pawn will recapture it. So nothing is happening. So can I create any threats? I can actually play knight to d5. And if you found this move, congratulations. What's the big idea over here? So basically, if bishop captures the queen, I can capture the knight with a check, and I can capture the bishop. So now I'm just a piece up with a completely winning position. Going back a bit, here, if black captures the knight in the position, I can simply capture the bishop, and that's the mate because the white bishop covers the queen. And actually, the queen can't really come in between as well because the knight, my minor pieces will simply capture the queen, and that would be a winning position. So this was the 7th position, a very interesting one. So now let's move on to the 8th position. Okay, so now we have the 8th position on our board. So try to pause the video and try to think how are you going to play this position with the white pieces. Okay, so again starting with some checks, I can play queen f5 check. I can move my knight and give a check. I can capture the rook and I can give a check. But nothing much is happening. So the best move in the position is to play queen f5 check. Okay, that's working. So I hope that you guys were able to find the move. Why I give a check now? So black is having 2 ways to protect the check. Black can either push the pawn or black can just move the king. It doesn't matter what black does actually. If black pushes the pawn, I can just move my knight and give a check. And now my idea is to simply capture the queen. So the king move, and now I can capture the queen with a winning position. So going back a bit, even if the king moves in the position like king g8, now I can simply play knight to f6 check. Once again, it's a check. Black is kind of forced to capture the knight over here, and I can simply capture the queen. So this is how you actually play this position. A very interesting one. So this was the 8th position. So now let's move on to the 9th position. Okay, so now we have the 9th position on our board. Once again, we are trying to play with the white pieces. So try to pause the video and try to think how are you going to play this position with the white pieces. Okay, so yeah, I hope that you guys have had a nice deep thought. So, okay, if you found the move, bishop into g7 check, congratulations. What's the idea? I simply attack the king, and the king is forced to capture the bishop. And now, what's the move? Okay, if you found the move queen to g5, congratulations. It's a check, and at the same time, I'm planning to capture the rook. And now black is kind of forced to move the king, and I can capture the rook. So what happened? I gave up the bishop for a rook and the pawn. So now I'm just 3 points ahead. So this is why this is a completely winning position, and this is just a small part of tactical motive. So this was the 9th position. So finally, let's move on to the final position of the day. Okay, so now we have the final position on our board. Again, this time we are playing with the white pieces. So try to pause the video and try to think how are you going to play this position with the white pieces. Okay, so I'll just say the right answer to you. So in this position, okay, actually we can do one thing. So if you found the answer, tell me in the comment box below, and I'm going to leave the puzzle as it is. Okay, so make sure to tell me in the answer comment below. And if you say the answer, I'll just like the comment. That's it. So yeah, I think that's it for the video. I think the video definitely helped you guys to improve your tactical vision. And yeah, these were some very interesting puzzles that can really help you improve your tactical motive. And this is how you actually can assess any position. Like there is something happening. You just need to follow this 3 simple steps, which is check, capture, threat. And by following these simple steps, you can find out like something is happening in this position. You are winning some material by some tactical combinations. So I hope that this video has helped you to improve your game. If it did, then make sure to like the video, share this video with everyone, and make sure to subscribe to our channel if you are new to our channel. I'm definitely going to come up with these more interesting videos like this. So yeah, till then, stay tuned and keep watching OneShot Chess. Bye bye.